Out of all the Nintendo Switch Online games, this one is the most divisive. Ocarina of Time is an extremely beloved title for many people, including myself, but because of some emulation problems, this might be a weird version to talk about. We're going to be looking at Ocarina of Time on the Switch Online and comparing it to the original, and while I have seen a lot of people talk about fog rendering and how some emulation have been broken, I do want to go a little bit further and see what other elements, including that, are worth talking about. A short disclaimer, and I think this is necessary to let you guys know, Nintendo is constantly updating the Nintendo Switch Online, and there was a recent update that came out when Banjo-Kazooie was released, and Nintendo has actually been starting to fix some of the emulation problems, and a great Twitter example right here from Oatmeal Dome shows that Nintendo is actively fixing this. So it is possible for these problems to be completely fixed, but hey, I'm not a clairvoyant, so we'll have to go with what we know. So let's begin. What is Nintendo using as the basic of Ocarina of Time? And for what they have done previously, and the same here, Nintendo is using version 1.2. If you guys don't know, the Nintendo 64 cartridge has 3 versions and revisions that actually take some things out. The most notable one in version 1.0 is the removal of the Fire Temple music, which has removed the Islamic vocal tracks in favor for a more generic vocal track. Ganon's blood has been changed from red to green during the final battle. And finally, on the mirror shield, the Muslim symbols of the crescent star, as well as other things, have been changed to a more generic Gerudo symbol. So that is a couple things that have been changed. This version has been carried over from the GameCube and the Wii, as well as the 3DS. So this is the version that Nintendo has been using for this port. While I'm not going to harp in too much into this, we do know that there's a couple elements that they've done. Of course, there's a smoothing filter that Nintendo has done on all of the NSO games, including this one. While I do feel it is a benefit for 3D models and textures, it really does suffer on 2D textures and planes, and you can really see in some of the text as well as some of the items that you pick up, like the Deku nuts and the Deku shields and stuff like that, and just how jarring that it looks in comparison to the backgrounds. I always felt that the original did a really great job at blending both 3D and 2D elements together, but because of the smoothing filter, you really start to see more of the differences of 2D textures and 3D and how they mesh. I mentioned this in the Banjo-Kazooie video, but the controls, of course, have always been a difficult thing to get over. If you have the Nintendo Switch Online controller, you're fine, but the controls correspond with A and B into their respective buttons, but this is directly opposite of what the controls are normally supposed to be. So of course, that really takes me out. A lot of people on the Banjo-Kazooie video have let me know that of course you could go into the menu and change the controls, which is very much true, but you have to do that every time in order for you to not have that jarring experience with the controller. So it's cool, but it's annoying. All right, and the bulk of this video that I really wanted to talk about was the broken fog here. And it's been circling around Twitter that the water temple reflections, of course, have been broken in comparison to the original, where the beautiful look of the floor that's supposed to be reflecting Link is just completely destroyed, and updates have fixed that. But let's go further than that. The fog in this game is completely broken. Usually in the horizon on the top of the trees in Kokiri Forest, you do notice there's a nice blending of the 2D trees that are in the background, and the fog is hidden behind that. Now with the Switch Online version, it removes most of the fog, so you start to see those 2D textures that you're not really supposed to see. It is supposed to give the illusion of something in the backdrop. Since the skybox does not have any fog, you can really see the differences between these two comparisons and see what I mean on that. You can also see this right here talking into the Great Deku Tree in the background, where the same effect is also applied, and you can really see where I'm coming from. While fog is used as a technical limitation to hide a couple things, it is used to hide a poor draw distance that was naturally in Ocarina of Time, so that's why sometimes you see pop-in from NPCs or other elements, but the fog really does a great job in helping hide that. And now that that's been completely broken, you start to see a lot more pop-in, and you see much further than you're supposed to see, and at least in my perspective, that does break the illusion of fog that is introduced here. Another example is in Queen Goma's boss room, and when you first enter the room, the lighting is completely dark. The only thing you're supposed to see on the top is actually Queen Goma's eyes. So it gives the illusion that you are trapped with this big behemoth of a spider, but with the Switch Online version, you can completely see Queen Goma here, even if I'm not looking directly at her. And it's those little things that really take me out of the experience. I know a lot of people will say, hey, it's just a lighting issue, or it's just a fog issue, but keep in mind, these elements are supposed to increase the immersion and increase the atmosphere. While they do add to the technical limitations, they are there as an artistic perspective, and it does break that. My final example right here is going to be in the Skulltula House, which has the exact same problem as the Queen Goma room. You go in there, and what the funny thing is that the room is as light as it can be. In the original, it's supposed to be as very dimly lit, where you don't really see the cursed Skulltulas and them telling your plight, but you can pretty much see them very clearly on top right here, and it's just one of those things that it just takes me out of the experience. The crazy thing too is that the Link model has the darker lighting, but the surrounding house is just completely light. It's just those little differences are what bug me. I know a lot of people might not really find it as a bother, but like I said, it does take you out of the element. But what do you guys think? These are some of the elements that I found in the Switch Online version, and hopefully Nintendo will be able to fix them. I know Majora's Mask is coming up next, and I am pretty scared about that because fog is also heavily used in the beginning, but who knows how that's gonna be. What do you guys think of this version? Are you gonna be playing Ocarina of Time on the Switch, or do you prefer it on the 64? Let me know down in the comments below, and let's have a nice discussion. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can do so right here and join the Kelpie crew so we can get more equipment and higher quality videos. And if you also want to see the other videos that I do on screen, we'll have you covered. Thank you so much to the supporters, Telsrob, as well as Power Matt, for helping the channel. I appreciate you guys. Take care.